Welcome to A Shot of Ag. I'm your host, Rob Sharkey. Like the old nursery rhyme, Baba, black sheep, have you any? Yeah, we always know it. Like sheep, you cut the wool off and then you make a sweater or something, but does that ever get done? Well, today's guest is going to tell us how he's doing it. Today we're talking with Will Kleinert from Askome, Illinois. How you doing?
I'm doing good.
Yeah, you do that stuff, right?
Yeah. Professional shearer, 5 years running now.
Kind of a lost art, isn't it?
Yeah. It's something that it's very hard to professionally get into.
Yeah.
Because unlike Australia and New Zealand and Great Britain and some of these countries where shearing's really prominent and sheep are really prominent, out here, it's a lot of times it was, maybe the shearer just handed you the pair of shears and said, "All right, kid, figure it out," or you needed to shear your own sheep, so you just went to hacking and a whacking, hoping that the wool got off.
Yeah, like going to Great Clips.
Yeah.
I've been to New Zealand. It's unreal how many sheep they have there.
Yeah.
It's sheep and dairy, and we think we have big ag here, but I don't know. I can think of 2 people in a 50-mile radius of my house that have sheep. It's just not as common, is it?
It's especially here, like Midwest territory. Mm-hmm. You're starting to see the decline in livestock overall, and sheep. Wool values in the Midwest have gotten really, really poor. So a lot of guys that, unless they're like chasing ribbons at the show, a lot of them are getting into more of the hair sheep and that, where they don't have to try to find a shearer, because that's a really difficult thing to do.
Yeah.
And then B, obviously have just an extra cost that they have to swallow.
Mm-hmm. Is it like in your area? Are you the only shearer?
Yeah, so I would say within a 100-mile radius, I'm the only sheep shearer. And then as far as the state of Illinois goes, I'm the only certified through the American Sheep Shearer Directory that is in the state of Illinois. Yeah. I know of one other shearer that's up in the northern part of Illinois, but he does a lot of kind of going around and doing like the show flocks and things. And he's got his own, obviously family farm and his own sheep flock that he tends to as well. So,
if you ever meet another shearer locally, do you guys fight?
No. It's one of those things where it's really cool to actually meet another shearer, because it's so hard to meet other shearers.
But they're taking your business.
There's enough to go around. There's not enough of us. There's not enough of us.
Okay, let's go back. Were you a farm kid?
Yeah, grew up farming. Family's been farming forever. My mother's side, they come off the boat from Italy and started farming. On my father's side, my uncle was able to trace back our family lineage. All the way back to the medieval periods, we were farming. Oh. So it's just so ingrained in me that it's about the only option I had.
You started farming early though, right? Like as far as your age?
Yeah. Obviously I grew up farming with Dad and Grandpa and my uncles. But I kind of, as a teenager, I was that rebellious teen, and so I wanted to do it on my own and on my own terms. So right out of high school, my grandfather gave me the opportunity to rent 13 acres of hay ground, and 10 years later, we've grown that to just over 400 acres. Mm-hmm. And
that's a lot of hay. Is it all hay?
Yeah. Whew. Yeah. Some of it is, thankfully, some of it's only cut once a year because it's cover crop that's cut for cattle. Okay. And then they plant beans afterwards. Yeah. But all the acres I do are forage.
Are you round baling or square?
Small squares is my majority market. I do a lot of equine sales, and then I know where you're gonna go with that. And then my round baling is mostly custom work. I don't do a lot of round bales for my own personal production.
Your clientele with the equine, are they unique?
They can be. I've had some very interesting characters over the years. I had I had one gentleman who he told me that he thought my grass hay was the best thing ever because there was no clover in it, no red clover at all. And I never advertised it as having no red clover
Yeah.
to kind of set the stage. But yeah, he's oh my God, this is the greatest hay ever. It's so clean. My horses love it. They do so great on it and everything. And I had another horse lady
Yeah.
that I was selling the exact same hay to, who said, oh my goodness, I love this grass hay that's got the red clover in it. It's so good for my horses. My horses love it. You know, and it was the same exact hay I was selling to both people.
Did it have clover in it?
Yeah. It was my uncle and me share a grass hay field that's been a grass hay field that my family's harvested for like 40 years.
Yeah.
And so, you know, it's just whatever basically grows out there at this point. You know, we cut it twice a year. And it's got red clover, you know, just regular grass. You know, it's just funny that sometimes with the horse people, you can get two totally different opinions on the same exact product.
How's the rodeo gals?
They're interesting.
Oh,
Some of them.
We got
some
time.
Of
If you
them, I know what you're doing. You're going to see me turn bright red now.
Okay.
Because you're going to get me in trouble not only with the barrel racers, because I know that's what you're doing to me.
Oh,
but also
I
you're going to
hadn't
get
even
me in
thought about
trouble.
the
You're going to get me in trouble with my other half, who might murder me.
Uh-huh.
So,
What's more important, your other half or the rodeo business?
the other half. That's the one that's going to murder me when I get home.
We'll move on. They're unique, right?
They're
The
unique.
rodeo.
They're unique.
Okay. All right, let's switch gears. How about that?
All right.
The sheep and the shearing. How'd that all start?
So, to try to kind of make a long story somewhat short, I had my hay business. I started in 2015. I was also raising sheep at the time. My family, my grandfather on my dad's side, Daryl, he raised hamps forever and ever. You know, had one of the best hamp flocks in the country back in the late 70s, early 80s.
Which is a breed of sheep.
It is a breed of sheep, Hampshire.
Yep.
Kind of your stereotypical breed, you know, black face, white wool. So there again, me being a very rebellious teen, wanted to do it myself. So I had my own sheep. I had Columbias, which are these really big, tall, they're small horses with wool on them. I mean, they're just giants. And I will say, since becoming a sheep shearer, I'll never own Columbias again.
Just too much to handle.
Well, you know, when you
Can you
sit one
ride
on
'em?
your butt and it's taller than you standing up, I mean, that's too much.
Can you ride one?
Oh, sure. That's mutton busting perfection right there, them Columbias. You put a 5-year-old on that, it looks like they're on a regular Bronco bull.
I didn't say a 5-year-old. I said, can you ride one?
I could ride one. We had a ram.
They're that big?
Oh, I had a ram. We called him Studbuck. And Studbuck was like 350 pounds.
Oh my
And at his
gosh.
shoulders stood like taller than my chest. He was one you could, because I did. I won't get too deep into the detail of the story, because there may have been drinks involved with some
What?
buddies. But yeah, we did. We acted like a bunch of hillbillies riding poor Studbuck, you know, like a cowboy there.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Did you go 8 seconds?
No. So poor Stud. I mean, you could ride him, but he'd maybe give you a solid 4, and then he'd just sit down. I think he just kind of was like, screw this. I don't need to put up with this.
Okay, so you had sheep.
Yep.
And is that where you were forced to learn how to shear?
No. Well, so I'd grown up showing sheep, so I knew how to like put them on a stand and you know, trim them all up for the show.
Yeah.
And that's how I sheared my own sheep. But in 2017, I had taken a night shift job at an organic pasta company that's no longer in business, and my neighbor down the road, who's got dairy cows, had gotten into a head-on collision coming back from church and was in the hospital. And he asked if I would milk the cows. So I was haying in the daytime, I was milking cows, and then I was working the night shift plus sheep somewhere in between.
Okay.
And I was doing just a really poor job of keeping up with my sheep flock. I mean, it got to a point where I would walk into the barn, none of them are dead, here's some feed, you got water in a bucket, out the door I go.
The basics.
Yeah, like the bare minimum. And I thought to myself, when I got to the end of that summer, if I'm not going to do a good job with this, I don't want to do the job at all, right? And so I ended up putting them up for sale. And actually, a young woman from Eureka come and bought them. Her and her ag teacher came, purchased them so she could have an FFA project. And from the day that she took those sheep home, I got a phone call or a text asking, what do I do with this? Hey, I'm seeing this. You know, just questions. And I was really happy to help and give the bit of knowledge that I had. But it got to a point where I didn't have any more knowledge to give. You know, I had flat run out.
She wanted more than you had.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was flat out. I was not smart enough to answer the questions she was starting to ask me. So I gave her my Uncle Mike's number because my Uncle Mike is real big into the sheep. He took it over when Grandpa kind of stepped down, and you know, and Uncle Mike will turn a 2-minute conversation into 24. So he was perfect for this girl because she also
We
loved
all
to talk.
have an Uncle Mike.
Oh, let me tell you, love my uncle to death. I owe him so much, even though I'm about to maybe take a slight dig at him here in the story. But yeah, he can talk, man. He's a talker. But so I gave the girl my uncle's number, and she called him and said, hey, I need to get these sheep sheared. Who shears your sheep? And at the time, there was a shearer who's been shearing for 40 years, but he'd been threatening to retire for about a decade at that point.
Yeah.
Every year he's saying, this is probably my last year. And then, you know, you'd get the letter in the mail from him saying, you know, hey, when do you want me to come shear? And that was the only way people knew if he was
By a
retired.
letter.
Yeah, that's how he did it. He would send a letter out, you know, and you sent him a letter back that basically said, I want my sheep sheared in March or whatever.
Like an old school.
This is before cell phones. He'd sheared well before cell phones.
Oh,
and,
okay. I got
you know, so that was how he communicated with everybody. And but yeah, so he'd been threatening to retire, and sheep shearers are so hard to come by.
Yeah.
There's so few of us that he, you know, my uncle basically he said, well, you know, so and so shears my sheep, but he's going to retire, and my nephew Will's actually going to take over for him.
And he didn't ask.
Never told me, no. I got the phone call from the girl saying, hey, I hear you're taking over for such and such shearer. And I went, what? You know?
And you so what you're doing at like the shows is more trimming, right? You're
fitting them for show. You're getting them super clean and crisp.
Have you sheared a sheep at this point?
Properly? No, never in my life. And that's how I started too.
Uncle Mike.
Uncle Mike volunteered me to do this.
Voluntold.
Yes. Yeah. And I so I was like, I thought about it a minute on the phone, and I said, you know what? Yeah, I'll be a sheep shearer. You know, I can't let Uncle Mike be a liar. I can't stand that. No. So I screw it. Drove out to Eureka, you know, on a Saturday morning, and
this poor FFA girl thinks she's gonna get her sheep sheared, and what did you do to it?
So I brought my stands, because I still had all my stands and everything.
Yeah.
And I brought my little electric clippers and, you know, 13 gallons of oil, because, you know, you got to have oil on hand for them things. They get so hot in your hand.
Oh, really?
Oh, the little electric end motor, yeah, they're about that fat, and they rattle like crazy. And you get done in a day shearing 15 sheep, because that's about the best you're going to do with that equipment.
Yeah.
Yeah, your wrist is killing you.
That's not what you got here.
No, that is not what I got right there.
This is like the you've grown up version.
Yeah. So this is the Handy Piece Pro. It was developed in New Zealand in 2009, originally made for shepherds to be able to grab sheep on the range.
Yeah.
And if they had fly strike, you know, it'd be just real quick, just zip, get the fly strike off and everything. But as the battery technology's improved, now it's being used by professionals like me to go in and do like small hobby flocks and things. Because normally when you're setting up, set that there. When you're setting up, you've got a big motor and a drop arm and then the hand piece. And so you got to find a place to hang the motor, which at a lot of hobby flocks, they don't have infrastructure.
Sure.
So, you know, I know other shearers that I'm friends with that do a lot of hobby flock specific shearing. And I mean, they'll have tractor loaders that are holding their motor up, or a tree limb over here in the back paddock, or
whatever you
can find. And then running power too. That's the other thing. We run into, like, I got one job in particular down in Robinson, Illinois, which you might know.
I know him.
Yeah,
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
No, I can't. Mr. Hello TikTok. God dang it, I can't think of his name all of a sudden.
Oh, Tony Reed.
No, not Tony Reed.
This
You've had him on your.
is fun.
Yeah, no, I'm blanking. Tell you what, I might as well be 80 years old. I look like I'm a baby, but I'm Alzheimer's patient. I tell you what, it's bad. It's Tom Fuller. Tom Fuller.
Okay.
Yeah, you've had him on your RFD TV, the clip thing you do.
It's we should probably move on.
Sorry, it's but
Lord.
my bad. I'm sorry.
All right.
So,
So you go to these places.
yeah, so like this one place in Robinson, they don't have any power.
Yeah.
It's this old Italian dude, like true old Italian.
Okay.
And he's got no power, and he's just got these sheep because he'll just go out there, grab one, butcher it, and that's what he eats for supper. That's what
really?
he keeps him around for. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
That's
No power or
old school.
nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so we've had years where we've had to bring a generator and things to run our equipment and everything, and so. Obviously this makes a big difference because otherwise, if we didn't have a generator with us, we'd have to run power from the neighbor. And mind you, it's a main road.
Was he Amish?
No.
Oh, just doesn't
old
have a
Italian.
power. Huh.
Just old Italian.
Okay.
Bought this property because it had a fence and he could put sheep on it. And that was.
But that one you can turn on.
Yeah. If you can flip the switch right there.
Right, this?
Yep, just that switch right there. So it just runs like that.
How detailed can you get? Like how little can you shave off?
So with this style of equipment, I don't know what a good.
Can you trim?
Well, yeah. I mean, you go right down to the hide,
No,
and you
I'm
leave a
talking-
little. Oh, you're saying
How little
take
can
out
you
the
take
old
off?
goatee?
No. How little can you take off?
Oh, I suppose as long as you can get entry into it, you can adjust however you want.
Can you take 1/8 of an inch off?
I bet you we could take off a portion of your beard right now if you turn this motor on.
1/8 of an inch.
I mean, we can say
1/8 of an inch.
1/8 of an inch.
Good Lord.
Look at that.
That's more than an 1/8.
No. I just squared it up for you.
Where's all this hair from? How much
Well,
did you take off? Zoom in on camera one. I want to. My gosh. Okay.
I squared you up. Made you look. You could have ate the wool pellets instead.
If it was open, I probably
You
would
can.
try.
It's not sealed.
Oh, it's not sealed?
It's not sealed. No, you can open that right up.
Oh, it isn't. All right, focus. What are we talking about? What are these?
So that's wool pellet fertilizer. It's a new product that's being developed as a way to take low-value wool.
It smells like the county fair.
Yeah, there's nothing else in it. There's nothing else in it.
If
It
you
is
smell
straight
this,
wool
you're
pellets.
like, oh, I'm going through the barns at the county fair.
Yeah, it's
I
straight
like it.
wool. Nothing else. No additives. No other further processing. It's shaved wool put through a pellet dye. Tastes a little gummy, don't it? That's Hamp's wool too.
Uh-huh. Fantastic. You know that guy? What the hell kind of interview is this? All right, so what do you do with this?
So it's fertilizer. It's 9 units of nitrogen per hundredweight, 13 units sulfur per hundredweight.
Whoa. 9
units
of
nitrogen
per hundredweight.
per hundredweight.
Okay, so that's a
pound.
Is that a pound? Okay.
Yeah. So this is specifically designed for your gardener, your greenhouse. This packaging.
Yeah.
And so you take and say like you're doing tomatoes.
Yeah.
Right? You would take some of these wool pellets, you dig your hole, you put the pellets down in the bottom of the hole, put your starter tomato over top. And then this wool will retain moisture. University of Utah did a study with poinsettias, grew poinsettias out to bloom. Poinsettias. Don't worry. Ask
We
my
try to be
girlfriend.
correct on
Ask
this
my
show.
girlfriend how I say theater.
Your ex-girlfriend after she watches this show, rodeo boy. Okay. So you put this down there and it'll hold the water.
Yeah. So with the poinsettia study that the University of Utah did, They grew them out to bloom, and then cut the water off. They had a control group and a wool group. Control group was wilted and dead within 3 days. Wool group did not show signs of wilt until day 8.
Oh, that's
So
quite a bit.
major moisture retention with the wool.
So like corn and soybeans probably not gonna have a place.
I think it does. And the reason I would say that I think it does is because I understand that it's not going to take over from your conventional program, but it's a great amender to add, right? Because there again, if you have really poor sandy soils, you have that moisture retention, you have the maintaining of nutrients at root level for longer rather than just leaching through that sand soil. Also, it's a slow release nitrogen, and so it's feeding that crop for longer than maybe some of your conventionals and things. It's also way more stable, right? When you go and spread urea, you got about 24 hours to get her either worked under or get a good rain.
That's what
Otherwise,
they say.
You lose, what is it, 15%, 20% of it?
I don't
to
know.
the air?
I never listened to the agronomists.
So this is a way more stable version of nitrogen, able to feed for longer, because it takes about 6 months in your soil to break down.
This does?
Yeah.
Really?
About
Okay.
6 months.
But I could see it like some of that real sandy soil. Maybe it would.
Yeah.
Have they done studies that you know of?
So I know of one study that they did in South America where they grew corn. They grew corn conventionally. They grew corn with nothing but wool pellets, and then they grew corn that had both. And the wool pellets were able to supply enough nutrient to the corn to match bushels per acre as the conventional program.
Okay.
Now you have to use a lot more, obviously.
Yeah.
Right, because 9 units compared to say 46, but it's able to feed that corn at the same level and get it to the same bushels, to where when they did the combination of the two, they didn't really see a great increase in bushels. To make it to where you could run your conventional program at full strength and add the wool pellet.
But the whole thing is the wool from a sheep is it worthless?
So unfortunately right now, coarse wools are worthless in the Midwest. There's only one wool buyer, and they're out of Forreston, Illinois, and they're currently paying a penny a pound.
Which is not much.
Garbage.
Yeah.
Because, you take like a Hampshire sheep, they're maybe putting out a 3-pound fleece per animal per year, right? So you're getting 3 cents, and if you live within the state of Illinois, you're getting taxed 1.50 cents. So a lot of these
For
producers,
like a checkoff?
yeah, for like a wool checkoff.
Well, what do you charge for a sheep?
So it's anywhere from $6 to $8 a head.
Okay,
depending
so they're way in the hole if they hire you. Yeah.
Well, hire any of us.
Yeah.
That's the thing. I mean, even your Joe Blow down the street coming out of Kokomo, Indiana, ain't gonna, who's charging $4 a head, you ain't getting ahead on the shearing price.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, that's where it comes back to what we talked about, or I think maybe I was talking to Emily backstage, but
yeah, everybody remembers the conversation with Emily, don't they? Yeah. The thing is, though, I mean, could this bring wool into where it could be profitable?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I think that there again, right now, manufacturing is in its infancy, right? So the current machines that are on the market are producing maybe 150 pounds an hour on top end. So when you talk about going out on your farm and spreading an 80 at 250 pounds an acre, right? It takes a long time for manufacturing to produce enough pellets.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like your Tesla cars or your VR headsets. It's going to take the early adopters to help push the manufacturing to the next level to where it can start becoming viable for your conventional farmer. And that's what I hope to see over the next 10 years. Because A, I'm selfish and I love my job, so I want to keep doing it. So I need wool to get some value. But B, ever since I learned about wool being a fertilizer, it's really just blown my mind is how good this product is. And it's so new. It's not something that has been known for a long time.
Well, we talked a little bit on it on the podcast, and then when I teased your podcast, I put it on there about, with the increase in the solar farms. and I don't care your opinion on your solar farm, please don't email me on it. It's an example. But if they're putting more of these solar farms up, then you can put, because they're fenced in. So then you can put sheep out there.
Yes.
And I know some of them are doing it. Then all of a sudden we're going to have more sheep in the Midwest, and a guy like you could be shearing left and right. But actually, that's where maybe this could become economy of scale.
Yeah. You know, that's definitely, as far as the solar farm discussion goes, that's been one major positive about it, is that, you know, if they're going to
So
take...
you're pro solar farm.
I am pro putting sheep on solar farms.
Pro rodeo girl and solar farms. It's a bold stance you're taking.
I tell you, three times you've been cornering me into these really harsh opinions, and I tell you what, good on you. Good on you. Good for you. Way to go.
You took a 1/4 inch off.
I could have taken a 1/2 inch. We could have made some really big TV
I was
by
trusting
just
you. Yeah.
going right
I was
up.
so ready to pull my head back. Well, is the future you moving more into the shearing, maybe less haying?
Yeah, definitely. I've really fallen in love with the sheep shearing. There again, as much as I might cuss my Uncle Mike for volunteering me for this job, I'm very grateful for him.
Yeah. Well, I think there's definitely a future out there. I've interviewed you a few times. I'm very struck about, and we have not talked about it, the training you went through to get where you're at, the work ethic that you have. I think you are on the precipice of maybe a new part of agriculture coming in here. And I'm excited for you because it's going to be the early adopters with the great work ethics like yourself that are really going to succeed. I think your future is super bright.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. That means a lot.
I don't feel bad for being mean to you because honestly, I think you're just going to have everything handed to you from here on out. So.
I tell you what, if I do, that'd be a blessing because I got to tell you, you've missed out. And since we've been doing our multiple interviews now, I've had a truck blow up in Sioux City, Iowa, and then had to go get it, $32,000 in damages, had to buy a new truck, you know, after, you know, insurance wouldn't pay a dime on the other truck because it was a mechanical failure.
Yeah.
You know, we've had this cascade of events that have happened. We had this year's been terrible for making hay.
It's not my fault. It's not my fault.
I'm blaming him. I'm blaming him.
Well, you truly are an amazing person in agriculture, and I want to thank you for talking with us, and I want to thank you for the way you're representing all of us in ag. So, well, thank you very much. Everybody else, we'll catch you next time. If you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to explore more of our local content. You can connect with us on our social media platforms, visit our website, or download and watch the free PBS app. We can't wait to see you next time on A Shot of Ag.